Okay, we are live. Good afternoon, evening, morning, whatever it is for wherever you are. So, getting right to the meat of the matter today, I'm going to read an article that I found today that to me ushers in a new level of attack on the truth movement. So, this is out of NBC News. I can't believe I'm actually reading this, everyone. Local FBI field office warns of conspiracy theory driven domestic extremists. FBI agents in Phoenix have issued an assessment detailing what they say are the risks posed by people who believe in fringe conspiracies, including QAnon and Pizzagate, which have been cited as the impetus for a series of violent indictments over the last 3 years and incidents. Indictments soon to come, I hope. So, right away, with the Jeffrey Epstein and NXIVM scandal being revealed, this is not a conspiracy theory, agents of the FBI. This is a conspiracy fact. And more people are going to come to realize that not every conspiracy is the truth, but a great deal of them are when you do the research and you see just how heinous this government, this federal entity is that claims to be serving us. The document came in the form of an intelligence bulletin intended for other law enforcement agencies, but not for public disclosure, from a local FBI field office about how fringe political conspiracy theories very likely motivate some domestic extremists to commit criminal, sometimes violent activity. Okay, well, what do you expect? If you enslave somebody to debt and belittle them and fall through the cracks of civilization, which are growing wider every day, everyone's going to come to realize this truth. This heinous, terrible truth that exists in the dark ages of this world, which many people still remain blinded to. So, as conspiracy theory is proven to be conspiracy fact more and more and more, I don't know how anyone with any integrity or a soul is going to allow this federal entity, this government, to continue. And now it's coming to the point where it's going to criminalize journalism of the same crimes that it is committing. Right here locally, we have E. coli in the water. We've had the Arroyo Heights water situation. It happened in Medical Lake 2 weeks ago. There was an E. coli scare. And then it happened in Hilliard shortly thereafter. And the media claims that it's from a hydroseed vehicle, and it was a mistake. This is being done on purpose. This is systemic. Aaron Brockovich spoke about it recently, the Hilliard water situation, saying that civilian people are not being fully informed of what's going on. This is alarming. And if this isn't alarming to you, then I suggest that you start to look into this, because it's not going to be long before your local water is becoming tainted and you are getting notices on your door. But the fact that the FBI is now putting out intel that was not meant for public disclosure, but has made it to public disclosure, saying that conspiracy theorists are going to be branded as terrorists, is outright ridiculous to me. How can you criminalize the truth of your own crimes and try to make that a crime? As an independent journalist, I have conducted research of not only the suppression of technology by the military, not only the insane human experiments and trials that continue to go on, 5G is coming soon. We have the water situation here. We have the pedophile sex scandals going live now. The list is never ending. And yet the civilian people continue to graze as cattle along the fields, as the sun sets further to the north every night. And I speak it to my mother and my friends, and some of them are aware, but they're just like, oh, well, what can we do about it? What does it mean? I am just truly astounded and remain astounded at the lack of virtue and integrity among the civilian people of the United States of America. The patriots ensured our right to bear arms because they knew the government would become a criminal organization at some point, and that our plate would become so bitter that we can no longer eat from it. Yet still, the people graze. They remain hungry for materialism and comfort. This is not what's going to liberate you. This is what's going to enslave you. Give me just a moment, everybody. Yes? Hello? Yes. Come in, mother. You didn't get my phone call, huh? No, I turned recording a video, shut everything off. I knew that would be the time that somebody comes and needs me to do something. Yes, I am. Okay, I'll carry the stuff in the cell. I can get it in just a moment, mother. Well, Donna's out here. I see. I will be right back, everybody. Give me one moment. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that, everybody. This is yet another test of my patience and infiltration. Nobody wants anything to do with me until I'm recording, until I'm trying to do work, until I'm doing something. And I shit you not, every single time I try to do it, something happens and I'm interrupted and I'm disturbed. And I know that this is just another distraction, another infiltration. I shit you not, everyone. I unplugged the phone. I turned off my cell phone so I could not be disturbed to record this video. And the moment I started recording the video, my cell phone started going off. And I knew whatever the matter was, it just had to be so urgent that I would be disturbed in this video. So I apologize for that. I guess it serves as another lesson for what's truly going on here. But getting back to the topic at hand, the FBI is now labeling conspiracy theorists, even as conspiracy theory is proven conspiracy fact, day by day, by our own mainstream media. They're going to start labeling anyone who is thirsty and searching for the truth as a terrorist now. And I knew this day was coming. It's still a bit shocking to actually see it happening, though. And I will have this article linked in my video description below. I will link it in the chat now. Again, this is NBC News citing a memo that was not supposed to go public that conspiracy-driven extremists are going to be launching attacks in America and terrorism. Now, Myself, I don't consider myself a conspiracy-driven extremist. I would say that I am a conspiracy theorist in that the research that I have done into conspiracy leads me to the same conclusions. And shortly after I began seeing more examples of this in my immediate life with the water situation here, um, which is absolutely heinous. If what my intel suggests and my research suggests is true, what is being done is absolutely heinous to the civilian people. It's much more gut-wrenching and disgusting than people want to acknowledge, and that's why many people don't acknowledge it until it comes to their immediate doorstep, which I assure you all, if you're a civilian member of America, it will eventually. It's coming. I have evidence of this. I've documented it in my independent journalism. So the fact that they're now going to see my independent journalism as something that is terrorist material is very disturbing to me. I seem to be more and more at odds with this government organization in the United States. And my integrity, my intelligence, my heart tells me that I may have to take my business elsewhere to find any success. Because thus far, our attempts with zero-point technologies have been largely unsuccessful. It's really quite sad. Even though my attempts to lobby in Olympia were successful for the clean electricity bill, which paves the way for a future of clean energy in Washington state, it just seems like investors are still so on the fence about renewable, or so blinded to the fact that the military has been utilizing this technology, and that the suppression of technology is still viewed largely as a conspiracy, when in fact it's not. Just shocking articles coming out recently. Article out of Hong Kong stating that they're using lasers to disrupt facial recognition. People in Hong Kong are becoming aware, just like the people in France, just like les gens, just anywhere that the people are organizing and saying, this is ridiculous. We are being enslaved by debt. We are being slowly poisoned by food, water, and what we must consume to survive. How bitter must our plate become before we find the virtue, the integrity to do something about it? Honestly, what's it going to take, everyone? For 8 years now, I've been trying to reach people through YouTube. And I always told myself when I began, if I reach even one person on YouTube, then all of this was worthwhile. And I'm still doing it now. I have not been bought out. I have not been tempted. I have not been deceived. Welcome face value to the chat. Conspiracy is a crime. Theorizing about conspiracy should be a good thing. I mean, theorizing is one thing, but as I continue to conduct more independent journalism and find fact after fact, after victim, and atrocity, crime after crime, I find it quite hard to argue against the fact that there is a conspiracy. And it's a conspiracy against the civilian people. It's not against the government. It's not against the United States. It's not against another nation. It's the federal government of every nation against its own civilian people. Conspiracy theory is a weaponized term. Well, it would seem that that's where the media and this culture is pointing it to go, which is, I look around me sometimes and I observe others who are lost and entranced, and I'm astounded. I cannot understand how they are not thirsty for this knowledge. Where is your virtue? Where is your ambition? You came to this world for something greater than what you are doing. And yet you are content. I suppose that's what it is. To be content is the greatest curse of all. Because when you are content, you will not find virtue, ambition, truth. You will not find the thirst for knowledge. So it's not just NBC News that's publishing this media. It's making all the rounds. Even a lot of the the alternative media outlets are covering it. But I was just compelled to speak out today and do journalism on this video. How can you criminalize journalism that is not theory, is proof, is evidence of your own criminal acts, and still be given any amount of integrity or trust with the people you claim to be serving? And this is the ultimate truth that everyone's going to have to wake up to very soon. It's written in all the holy books. In the Proceda, it was known as Ragnarok. Your nemesis is before you. Your nemesis has observed you your entire life. And they're waiting. They know civil unrest is imminent. They know that anyone with a living, beating heart is going to say, no, this crime is intolerable and something must be done about it. Something must be done about this, or we will continue in these dark ages. Some good news is I hear that the elites are finally starting to move toward a more renewable energy mindset. And in the state of Washington, that would seem to be true as the clean electricity bill was passed. However, progress in the actual trenches of this, the technological trenches, and I'm talking about in the lab, in the marketplace, in the supply market, it's still quite a battle at this time. And as I spoke, the company is currently dealing with what I believe to be corporate sabotage. I won't speak much further on that aspect, but it's quite astounding to me how quickly people can turn and change on you. I considered my discernment to be somewhat good, and ultimately I knew it would come to this, but due to extenuating matters of business, which I knew I was getting into when I got into this field, my hands were tied to a certain extent. They are no longer, however. And I hope to get us on the map very soon with our prototype. But it's been an uphill battle. It's been the same uphill battle that Nikola Tesla fought. There always is a nemesis. His nemesis was Thomas Edison. And the battle was AC versus DC, which paved the way for modern civilization as we have it now. But what's standing in the way now is just the greed of this federal entity, the absolute greed, wanting to keep people enslaved forever. Welcome, Polar Bear Stare, to the chat. All authors and filmmakers are included in this conspiracy theory spreading too. Makes me laugh. It's astounding, is it not? What else can you do but laugh? Because if you don't laugh, surely you will go mad from just the absolute slap in the face that they're trying to pull on us now. And that's why the local police have tanks. And that's another part of this in the PSYOP world, is that they're probably trying to initiate a lot of these terror attacks themselves with this sort of articles and media. Because I know myself, I was disturbed by it. And as I said, I'm not an extremist. When it comes to the world of politics, I consider myself an independent. And I find that I avoid a lot of the political dogma with liberalism, conservatism, etc. Even when it comes to the religious world, I also consider myself an independent. And I ask those that claim to be holy and claim to be serving the work of God, such as the Mormons, as they come by frequently and talk with me, what is your prophet delivering prophecy? Has your prophet delivered prophecy that you felt was true? They said yes. What are you doing about the state of affairs in this world? What are you doing about the debt slavery of mankind? Because what you teach is that Jesus Christ was overturning the tables of the money changers and saying this is corrupt. Yet I see the Mormon church is larger than ever and raking in more money than ever. At which point they leave me their pamphlet and they say, we're going to pray for you, Matthew. I said, I will pray for you as well. And I find this with the Jehovah's Witnesses as well. What are you doing besides spreading the word of your gospel to confront these greater burdens upon mankind and this timeline at this stage. And that's where I feel the brainwash of religion comes in. To limit yourself to one doctrine, one religion, is still to limit yourself. And I think that we have limited ourselves to one government. At least we were deceived into doing so. And it's all very sinister, you see. It was done during the Great Depression, when our great-grandfathers were faced with the decision of starve or sign this agreement with the federal government to help them survive, which was the Federal Reserve Act. And they're not going to read this thick of, legal documentation. They're not going to read that. What they're going to do is they're going to say, we're going to feed you and we're going to help you survive during these times. So they're not going to read any of that. They're just going to sign it. And that's where they signed us, their future civilizations, away to debt slavery and trust in God, which is on the back of every dollar bill, and a government which enslaves us to debt. And it's refreshing to see the people in Hong Kong, the people in France awakening, but the monarchy is still there. And sadly, the civilian people waver because they have to go back to their job, because they have to go back to their family, because they have to go back to trying to survive. They cannot commit to a nonstop battle against this entity, which is completely organized, which has all the resources, which has all the money, which has all the munitions. The militias, perhaps, may offer some resistance, but we are the controlled resistance. And it is us that carry the burden of the transition into this next stage of civilization, in which he who speaks the truth is called mad, and he which speaks lies is revered, as all the great writers have put it. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to cover today, everyone. I apologize for the interruption. I'd like to thank you for coming in, and I hope you may heed some of my words before you locally are affected by this federal entity, which is now criminalizing conspiracy truth that the federal government has committed these crimes against the civilian people and continues to, is a crime. This is obscene. This is totalitarianism. This is a prelude to a takeover of civilian America. And the people are going to learn that the United States is a communist nation, and it has always been at the highest levels of the hierarchy. But there are so many civilian people now, we greatly outnumber them. The consciousness collective is growing. What's it going to take? What will it take, everybody? Because this federal entity is not going to stop. It's going to continue to belittle liberty after liberty. It's not limited by linear time like the civilian people are, where they just try to live a single lifetime as said individual. The federal entity exists beyond linear time, and it's existed since the dawn of time here. We thought we were liberated from slavery. We thought we were liberated from the monarchy in the war for independence. We were not. The United States is a corporation of the hierarchy. And that's where it all comes from, is the monarchy. So I ask all of you once again, how bitter must your plate become before you can no longer eat from it? How much more liberty must be taken away? How much more of your integrity must be taken for granted before you can no longer eat from this bitter plate that we have all been subjected to? So I'll have more updates when I can concerning the water situation. But just one more thing today, shocking to me. FBI is now labeling conspiracy theorists as terrorists. As conspiracy theory after theory is proven to be conspiracy fact after conspiracy fact. I wish you all well. Stay smart, stay intelligent. Stay thirsty for knowledge. That's the best advice I could give to anybody, because that's what's going to steer you in the right direction. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. This is becoming more and more evident every day. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, be well.